Bonjour et bienvenue à notre réunion de midi. Nous sommes mercredi, le 24 septembre 2025. Avant de prendre vos questions, permettez-moi de faire une petite annonce. You will have seen, dear journalists, in today's media advisory, which was sent out this morning, that we will not have a midday press briefing on Friday. Instead, we will organise background chats with all of our wonderful spokespersons, supported by our wonderful press officers. This will be an occasion to speak on background to the spokespersons about their areas of competence. We will do it here in the press room. These background briefings will take place in person only. No online connection will be available. Going forward, we aim to host these on a more regular basis with the view to providing real added value to you all in order that we can really say some of the things to you to gain a better understanding of our policies. Some things we can say on the record, some things we say off, and it might enhance our two-way communication. With that, I open the floor for your questions. Gabriel.
Thank you, Gabriel, for Politico. What's the Commission's assessment of President Donald Trump's statements overnight? Is this a vindication of, the EU diplomatic outreach to the White House? Do you share the assessment that Ukraine can regain full control of its Russian-occupied territory? And President Trump also said that he believed that Hungary would go ahead with quitting Russian oil if he picked up the phone to Viktor Orban. Do you share that hope? Do you welcome Trump's intervention on that issue?
Thank you for your question, dear Gabriel. I'm going to set a small ground rule for today's press briefing. Just first of all to remind you that we don't comment on comments as a rule at the European Commission. So if you wish to ask us specific questions on the areas of work carried out by the European Commission on behalf of the citizens of Europe, I invite you to do so. So, Gabriel, would you like to ask me a question?
I'll rephrase. Do you share President Donald Trump's assessment that Ukraine, with European support, can regain full control over the territory illegally occupied by Russia? And would you welcome President Donald Trump's intervention in the REPowerEU plans to try and get the EU off of Russian oil and in those negotiations with Budapest?
Okay, thanks very much for your question. So we're going to take them bit by bit. First, as regards Ukraine, I'll hand over to Anita in a second, but I think it's really important to emphasise that we welcome that the engagement with the US is now so strong and meaningful as regards coordinated efforts to try to end Russia's aggression. That engagement hasn't happened by accident. It has happened because President von der Leyen and other European leaders have been working tirelessly to make sure that all relevant global partners, in particular the US, are engaging on these issues as they should be, as they need to be. So we will continue doing so. We saw yesterday the meeting between Presidents von der Leyen and Trump, which we consider to be extremely positive in this respect. And I'll hand over the floor to Anita to complement as necessary.
Thank you so much, Olaf. When it comes to Ukraine, in view of the statements that we've seen, I'm really happy to give you again our position, which is very clear in terms of both us, the US, and most of all Ukraine, wanting this war to end. The Ukrainian people have been courageously fighting to protect their freedom, democracy and sovereignty, and upholding Ukraine's independence, sovereignty and territorial integrity is crucial. This is a position that we have had throughout, so this is very welcome in this regard. And last final point, a crucial element, Russia can stop the killing at any moment. They can just stop and withdraw all forces and military equipment from Ukraine's territory within its internationally recognized borders.
Many thanks, Anita, for that very clear answer. Colleagues, what I propose to do, Gabriel, if you agree, I'll cluster questions along the foreign affairs, diplomatic lines with Anita now, and we'll come back to the energy aspects. I'll bring Anna Kaisa up at that point. Jorge, go ahead.
Hello. Following up on this issue, I read the statement that you published of this bilateral meeting between the President and Donald Trump. Did the discussion touch upon the issue of China, in particular, the possibility of implementing tariffs on China in order to put pressure and end the grip and the alliance between Russia and China, or at least weaken it? Was this discussed in particular or not? Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Jorge. We're not going to go beyond what we already gave in terms of detail in the meeting between the two presidents. In relation to our ongoing work with global partners to try to maximise the pressure on the Russian war economy, of course that very importantly includes our discussions with China. We have raised our priorities and concerns in this respect at all levels in our engagement with China consistently since the start of Russia's aggression, and I can confirm that President von der Leyen will meet the Chinese Prime Minister Li today. Her introductory statement will be live streamed on EBS, and I'm sure that that topic will feature in their discussions, as well as the many others that are crucial to the EU-China trade, diplomatic, economic relationship. Other questions for Anita on the topic of Ukraine? Other questions for Anita on foreign affairs? I don't see any hands raised. Thank you, Anita. I'll call Anna Kaiser up in that case, and Gabriel, if you wouldn't mind restating your second question, that would be helpful.
Thank you. It was just to ask on the subject of President Donald Trump's statement. He effectively offered to intervene in the discussions between the EU and Budapest, saying that if he picked up the phone to Prime Minister Orban, he thinks that Hungary would move to quit Russian oil. Do you welcome that intervention? Are you working bilaterally with the Americans on this exit? And effectively, do you see that being a kind of light at the end of the tunnel for the repower plan?
Thanks for the question. I'll hand over the floor to Anna Kaiser in a second. And just to repeat that we don't comment on comments, but we are engaging in a strong and meaningful way with all global partners on this critical issue, including with the US. We're very pleased that that engagement has ramped up in recent weeks. And as regards the work we're doing to phase out our reliance on Russian energy, I hand the floor over to Anna Kaiser.
So on this, yes, very clearly we work and strongly support both Hungary and Slovakia in their diversification efforts, and obviously stand ready from our part in addition to international and diplomatic efforts. As Olof referred to, we stand ready to facilitate any necessary arrangements with relevant partners. And important to add here that we do understand the concerns that both Slovakia and Hungary have expressed, especially from the competitiveness angle. They are landlocked countries, and this has been taken into account, obviously, as we have shaped our policies. The recent Druzhba disruptions from this summer, they just highlight that all our member states, and especially those who are most impacted, need to diversify supplies, also for the security of supply point of view. But other than that, I mean, we have obviously our own work strand with both Slovakia and Hungary, and President Trump's comments is obviously his work strand with these countries that we would not particularly need to comment on.
Thank you, Anna Kaiser. Here we go.
Sándor from Euronews. A follow-up on this. Are there bilateral talks between the Commission and Hungary on this to step up especially financial support for Hungary for decoupling from Russian oil? Is the Commission offering any extra substantial help financially for Hungary to do this?
What I can say is that since the repower plan that we presented in 22, we have been intensely working with the member states that have been most impacted on the phasing out of Russian fossil fuels, Russian energy from the EU, and Hungary and Slovakia are the two of these countries. There are others as well. But we continue to work intensely with them to ensure a smooth diversification, smooth transition, and to help them find alternative supplies. But I do not have any numbers to give on financial assistance or anything like this. The main point is that we work with all our member states. There are concerns that we share at EU level. Security of supply is one of them. This is absolutely crucial for the Commission. And as well as I said in my earlier response, we obviously are an understanding of the concerns that have been raised both by Slovakia and Hungary in this context. And the work continues. We have set up various kind of formats at technical level, at political level, to stay in touch and to take this work for further.
Go ahead.
Valeria Pashko, public broadcaster of Ukraine. Even after President Trump's statement, Hungary will not stop buying Russian oil, as Minister Sigarto has said just yesterday. So do you have any leverages to influence Hungary's position in future if they refuse to implement this Repower EU plan and just continue buying Russian oil and gas? Thanks.
Let's take one step at a time. First of all, under the current sanctions regime, Hungary and Slovakia have an exemption to buy Russian oil. That is one point. And then when it comes to the Repower legislation that we presented in June, it is now with member states and the European Parliament for their final decision. So that piece of legislation wants to phase out any Russian gas, including pipeline and LNG, by the end of 27. This is what we proposed. And in addition, it makes a reference to oil. We are asking member states to present their diversification plans to the Commission. So we have made this proposal, and it is now with the Council, with the member states and the Parliament. And we understand that the work is well advanced already in the Council. This is a priority for the Danish presidency to take this work forward as soon as possible, so that we would have a phase-out by the end of the phase-out proposal ready and adopted by the end of the year, so that all the provisions can enter into force. And then we take it. This is now a discussion between the member states and in the European Parliament. So it's important to remember the institutional roles here as well.
Thanks, Anna-Kaisa. And just to reinforce what you said, the goal here is to work with our member states to support their diversification efforts. And that is the priority. And that's what we will continue to do as we work on this phase-out. Please go ahead.
A follow-up to this question. You mentioned the diversification plans that are expecting from every EU member state. Do you already received any of the plans from EU member states? And when is the deadline when Hungary and Slovakia are expected to give these plans?
These diversification plans that I mentioned are part of the proposal that we made. So the proposal is not adopted yet, so therefore we're not expecting them yet, but we obviously are very happy to receive if anyone already has them ready. But of course, this is not something that we would not have discussed in various other contexts. As I said, Repower EU is almost 3.5 years now, and obviously the phase-out of all Russian energy has been a topic that has been discussed in different contexts. So we have a fairly good understanding of where our member states are. The National Energy and Climate Plans is one way for them to communicate and to outline their plans. So, but the diversification plans that I referred to are part of the proposal that is still being adopted.
Thank you. Other questions on this? Go ahead.
Yes, Olivier Bob, AFP. Coming back on the exemption given to Slovakia and Hungary, I mean, correct me if I am wrong, but these exemptions were given for Slovakia and Hungary to give them more time to find some way for decoupling from Russian oil. Have you seen any progress since the exemption has been given? And if yes, can you give us some details, some figures on this? Thank you.
I do not have any figures to give. I suppose with figures you refer to volumes that are being imported. This is the kind of information that we do not have access to. It's companies that are buying the commodities, and this is precisely actually one of the reasons and why we introduced a provision in the repower legislation that we want the gas contracts and energy contracts in the future to be more transparent. We are asking member states on behalf of their companies to share this information with us so that we have a better and more transparent energy market, that we have a better understanding of what is going on. But I do not have further information or insights as to the reasoning of the sanctions or the exemption provision, other than these two countries are landlocked countries, and they by definition, for this reason, do have diversifying to other pipelines can be more complicated than for countries that are not landlocked. But I don't know if Olof, if you have anything further on the sanctions side on this.
No, nothing in particular to add. Other questions on this topic from the room? Don't see hands raised. In that case, we go to David online.
Yes, thank you, Olof. David Carretta, Radio Radicale. Yesterday night with President Trump, President von der Leyen said, and I quote, "We want to put tariffs on oil supply that are still coming in the EU." So I'm wondering, I would like to ask you when this proposal will be presented, if you have already a timeline, not just for the proposal, but for the phasing in of the proposal. Thank you.
Grazie, David. So, in response to your question, I just need to give some background as a reminder here. It's important that we do this at all stages. In her 2025 State of the Union address, President von der Leyen made clear that it is time to get rid of dirty Russian fossil fuels. Why? Because this is a geostrategic imperative for the European Union in the context of guaranteeing our own energy security, in the context of driving our clean transition, but equally in the context of weakening Russia's war economy in order to force the aggressor to the negotiating table. And we have seen an escalation in Russia's aggression on the battlefields of Ukraine. We have seen an escalation of threats by Russia in the context of invading, if you want to use that word, EU airspace. So, as Anna Kaisa has explained many times from this podium, we've made huge progress in reducing our reliance on Russian energy already. We can go through those facts and statistics if you want to hear them again. In recent statements, our President has made clear that we need to accelerate this work even further, for the reasons I've mentioned. Accordingly, we've come forward with the 19th sanctions package that is now with our member states for discussion, and we hope agreement soon, that is designed to squeeze the Russian war economy even further. Yesterday, now getting to the substance of your question, David, in her press point with President Trump, President von der Leyen referenced additional steps we intend to take. She talked about sanctioning ports where LNG is coming from. This forms part of the 19th package. And she said we want to increase tariffs on oil imports from Russia. So in response to your question, the Commission will present further details on this in due course. Other questions on this topic? I don't see. David, go ahead.
I had one on ICAO later, but also on this tariffs. You said tariffs. I was just wondering what type of legislation is that? That's qualified majority voting, right? So is that part of the 19th package, or is that something separate? That's my question. When you do these tariffs.
Thanks, David. I confirm that it's not part of the 19th package because sanctions is unanimity. Any proposal relating to tariffs on Russian oil would be adopted by qualified majority as a trade measure. I can't provide more details now beyond to say that we will, in due course, present what we have in mind on this. Go ahead.
So this is not at the same time the tariffs proposal. That's something different. And then while I've got the microphone, can I ask something on ICAO? Or
you'll have to explain what that is first. But
okay, it's the International Aviation Association, and it's a big assembly. And it's just to understand what the EU position is there, who will represent the EU. And then a follow-up on that, the implementing regulation has been delayed on several of the points, a year late. One of the important details is the eligibility requirements, and that was planned for the first quarter. It's still not there, and I was wondering if you can explain why it's late, when it will come. Thanks.
So first of all, to the ICAO meeting, who is representing Commissioner for Transport, Commissioner Tzitzikostas is there representing the European Commission. On the implementing regulation and the technical specs that you wanted, let us check and get back on this. I do not have this detail at hand here. But yes, ICAO has started another important General Assembly, and Commissioner Tzitzikostas is there. And we did actually issue a daily news outlining the main purpose of his mission. I think it was yesterday or the other day. Or was it today? Today, yes.
Thank you, Anna-Kaisa. Other questions on this topic for Anna-Kaisa? Other questions for Anna-Kaisa on energy or the many other files she covers? I have a question from Eleonora. Eleonora, go ahead.
Thank you. Eleonora from MLEX. My question is related to this announcement of increased tariffs on oil from von der Leyen. Will Slovakia and Hungary receive some exemptions like they have with sanctions? I know you haven't announced specifically the details of those tariffs, but would the Commission be open for opts out for Hungary and Slovakia? Thank you.
Thank you, Eleonora. You already answered your own question. We're not going to go beyond what I already said, which is that we will present further details on this in due course. Any other questions for Anna-Kaisa before we switch topics? Other questions for us today? Go ahead. Is that Rosie? Yeah.
Hi, it's Rosie Burchard for DW. My question is on migration policy. So I won't ask you to comment on a comment, but I will use someone else's words for my question. So, is it true that Europe has been invaded by a force of illegal aliens like no one's ever seen before? That illegal aliens are pouring into Europe and that nobody's doing anything to change it? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, dear Rosie, and thank you for respecting the terms I mentioned earlier. I hand the floor over to Marcus. To tell you all about the important work we're doing on migration here in the European Union.
Thank you, Rosie, and thank you, Olaf. As Olaf has said, we don't comment on comments, but what I can do is give you an overall idea of the EU's approach on migration. The EU has a comprehensive approach on migration, to manage migration effectively, to protect our borders, and to work closely with partner countries. And this approach is showing results. Illegal border crossings have gone down in 2024 by 38%, and we see another drop by more than 20% in this year, so in the first half of this year. We are continuously stepping up our efforts. President von der Leyen was very clear on this. You all heard her in her EU speech earlier this month. We need a system that is humane but also firm, with effective returns and more measures against smugglers. A robust system that doesn't allow for abuses while continuing to offer protection to those in need, and this is exactly what we're doing. Earlier this year, we proposed a new European return system, because it cannot be that only 1 in 5 persons who should be returned actually leave the EU. We also proposed to triple funding for border and migration management in the next MFF period. And you know the new Pact on Migration and Asylum will enter into force in June next year, with stronger border controls, security checks, faster return procedures, and strict but fair rules for applicants. This year we have further strengthened our rules in the Pact and with the Pact, with proposals for a list of safe third countries and a review of the safe third countries concept, because migration is a global reality, and third countries that are safe and that can offer protection must also play their part. And this is why we're also working on new comprehensive partnerships with many of the countries of origin and transit. It's about reducing illegal departures in the first place, but also about improving returns, about fighting root causes, and offering legal alternative pathways.
Thank you, Marcus, for this brilliant overview of the work we're doing in the European Union to tackle this very complex issue. Rosie, you have a follow-up.
Yeah, I hope it will be a very brief follow-up. Forgive me, a TV journalist, so sometimes we can be a bit crass with this. So if I was to ask you yes or no, is it true that there are more irregular migrants than ever before and that no one's doing anything about it? The answer would presumably be yes or no.
Rosie, Marcus has given an excellent answer, and that's all we're going to say for the moment. Other questions on this topic? Go ahead.
Hi, yes. Nikolai Nielsen, EU Observer. Can you give us an update on the shooting incident of the Libyan Coast Guard concerning the Ocean Viking at the end of August? You mentioned you were going to inquire about this. And are you aware if any of those individuals involved in the shooting were trained by the EU, because you have training programs, and whether or not you can just want to continue to support financially this Libyan Coast Guard? Thanks.
Thanks for your questions, Nicolas. These are in fact for Guillaume, so if you agree, we'll just see if there are other questions for Marcus, and I'll bring Guillaume up then. Other questions in the room for Marcus? Please.
There were media reports that the EU discussed two tighter measures regarding EU visa for Russians before, as a part of 19 sanction package. It didn't end up there as a part of the restrictions. So why were there any countries who were against this measure? And do you foresee that in future you will present the new strategy on this matter? Thanks.
Thanks for your question. Unfortunately, we can't say more about the 19th package beyond what our President said last week. As regards future measures, Marcus, if you have something to say, please go ahead.
Yes, thanks, Olaf. We've replied to this question last week or the week before. A new visa strategy is in the making. This will come towards the end of this year. And you will have seen that we have already taken measures in this regard with the guidance at the beginning of the war, which have led also to a massive reduce of visa issuance in member states.
Thanks, Marcus. Do I have other questions for Marcus from the room? No, I have some questions online. Monica, is that for Marcus?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Hello, this is Monica Barbanova from Capital, Bulgaria. I have a question for Marcus regarding yesterday's letter from President of Renew, Ms. Valerie Ayer. Regarding the second RRF payment for Bulgaria. So my question is, when will the decision for the second RRF payment by the Commission will be taken, if you could be more concrete, or it's not exactly in his area? Has the European Commission so far been concerned about the rule of law in the country? Has there been any signs from the Commission to Bulgaria on that topic, and could that influence the decision on the second payment? Thank you very much.
Monica, thanks a million for those questions. Again, there's a bit of split competence here between different spokespersons. So Marcus will reply to the rule of law aspect. We will then bring Maciej back in relation to the earlier questions, or bring Maciej up rather. So Marcus, please go ahead and take that part, and then we can try the rest.
Thank you very much. Yes, on the first part. So we don't ever comment on individual cases. We are aware of the situation and of the recent allegations. It is for member states to intervene in such cases and for national authorities to give an appropriate follow-up. Maybe one thing that I can say in general is that the setting up of the Anti-Corruption Commission in Bulgaria is an important part of the reform that Bulgaria has undertaken in the area of anti-corruption, and also I believe it's included in the RRP that Maciej can say more about in a second. And structural and operational autonomy and independence are key requirements for the proper and effective exercise of the functions of a specialized anti-corruption body. This is what I can say in general on anti-corruption, and you might also remember that we have a legal proposal on anti-corruption at EU level on the table. We hope that this will be soon adopted by co-legislators.
Thank you, Marcus. Do we have other questions for Marcus before we take the questions for other spokes that have already come? I don't see hands in the room. David, do you have a question for Marcus?
Yes, thank you. It's related to the Schengen visa and Russia issue, because I've seen that Italy is issuing Schengen visa with some exceptions for Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, France, Lithuania, and Latvia, and Lithuania. I'm wondering if this is possible, and if you are aware, if there is a system to notify, and what would be the reason of that? Thank you.
Thank you, David. I'm not aware of the cases you mentioned, but what I can say in general is that visa issuance is a competence of member states, of course, under EU rules, but member states are in charge of and responsible for issuing a visa.
Thank you, Marcus. I also see Momchil's hand raised online. Momchil, is your question for Marcus? No? Yes? No? Yes?
No, my question was to Maciej. It's a follow-up to the question of Monica. So if the Commission has received this letter from the Renew Europe group, and what follows in such case? That was my question.
We'll come back to you, dear Momchil. Thanks a million. I see no other questions for Marcus online or in the room. Therefore, I'm going to, in the first instance, bring up Guillaume, to answer Nicola's question on the Libyan Coast Guard.
The question, one there. Hi. At the time of the incident, we expressed clearly our position on the reported incident. So all parties to a search and rescue operation must fully respect international law and international maritime law. So following this incident, as we communicated in the past, we directly reached out to the Libyan authorities, and we urged them via the EU delegation and the ambassador on the ground to take all the necessary measures to ensure Libya's full compliance with national and international obligations. So we have also requested detailed information on the circumstances of the incident, and we stressed the importance for a swift, thorough, and transparent investigation. So there is now an investigation ongoing by the Libyan authorities, and this is what we can say at this stage.
Follow-up.
Thank you. I understand the investigation is ongoing, but have you received any details into the incident that you can share with us? And are you aware if any of those individuals involved in the shooting were actually trained by the EU? Thank you.
So as I said, so this incident needs to be investigated, and this is being done at this stage. So there's no information I can share on the investigation per se.
Very clear. Thanks, Guillaume. Do we have other questions for Guillaume? Please go ahead.
Lorne Cook from the Associated Press. I assume you saw that a group of NGOs had put out a letter, a joint letter, today marking 1 month since that incident. One thing they spoke fairly clearly about was the principle of do no harm that the Commission applies to policy when it comes to Libya. And under the last Commission, we were just told that policy is not doing any harm. We weren't told who made that judgment or how or whatever. But just in light of that and the latest developments, do you think it's time to look at that again? Is there a need for some kind of independent body to establish whether EU policy is causing harm or not? Just to recall, a UN appointed investigator said that the EU was complicit in crimes against humanity for its policy in Libya. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's do step by step. So on the call from the NGOs, yes, we are aware, and we have received the letters which were addressed to Commissioner Brunner and Schritzer. Second, as I said, now there's an investigation on the reported case, and we wait for the outcome of this investigation. And third, when it comes to the situation in Libya, I think it's really important to say that if we want to improve the situation, we need to remain engaged, and this is what we have been doing and we keep on doing at different level, and this is our policy for now.
Thank you, Guillaume. Other questions for Guillaume? Don't see hands. Here, please go ahead.
I don't know it's for Guillaume or not. It's about airplane incident over Kaliningrad. American Air Force plane have GPS interruption during flight to Lithuania. It's not for Guillaume?
It's definitely not for Guillaume, but we'll come back to you if that's okay to figure out who it's for. In the meantime...
Minister for Defense of Spain on board.
Okay, listen, if you don't mind, because we have other questions in the can, we'll take those first, and then we come back to you, and in the meantime we can figure out who would answer the question. Thanks, Guillaume. I don't see other questions for you, so I will bring up Maciej to answer Monica and Momchil's questions relating to Bulgaria. So, Monica, could you repeat the question, please?
Yes, thank you. My question was, could that letter influence the decision on the second payment? And yes, that's it. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Monica, and thank you, Monchil, for your questions. I can confirm that the Commission has received a letter from the Renew Group. We'll respond in due course. When it comes to the Bulgarian recovery plan, indeed, in summer the Council approved the amendment to the plan on the 18th of July, and following that, Bulgaria resubmitted their second payment request. So since 23rd of July, we are still assessing this second payment request, covering different milestones and targets, and I can confirm that one of them is indeed related to the setting up by Bulgaria of a politically and financially independent anti-corruption body. Since this assessment is still ongoing, I cannot give you any details on possible outcome. Thanks.
Thank you, Maciej. Monica, do you have any follow-up questions? Or do I pass the floor to Momchil now? Or Momchil, do you have any questions beyond what Maciej has given as an answer? I don't see either of your hands raised again, so I'll take it that we have answered your questions. Other questions for Maciej on the files he covers? No, thank you, Maciej. Other questions for us today? Go ahead.
Valeria Pashko, Public Broadcaster Ukraine. It's on drone wall stocks, which are taking place on Friday. Thomas earlier shared with us the participants, but we didn't see that Hungary and Slovakia are participating in these talks. My question is, why? Did they explain? Did the Commission invite them to join? And about the agenda, could you tell us more what does the Commission expect? What does the Commission foresee? What do you want to hear from member states, from Ukraine, something like that? Thanks.
Thank you. So, when it comes to your first question and about Slovakia and Hungary, I can confirm that Slovakia has now been added to the list of the member states I've previously given to you, including on top of the 7 frontline member states, Denmark and Ukraine. Now, what is to be expected from this meeting? I have no exact agenda to share at this stage. What can be expected from that meeting and what we expect definitely from member states, it's not just a meeting to look nice on paper. It's a meeting with strong commitment and with concrete deliverables.
Thank you, Thomas. Follow up. Well, not quite follow up, but you know what I mean.
But, Thomas, does the Commission really believe that Fico wants to build the drone wall on the border with Ukraine?
That's a question to be addressed to the authorities in the member state you're referring to. But let me say once again, this is not a meeting on Friday to just look nice on paper. This is a real need that we have. Building a drone wall is a concrete need that Europe needs to build now. And again, we expect strong commitment from the member states participating in this meeting, and we expect very good results and deliverables. So again, not just to look nice on paper.
Thank you, Thomas. Follow up.
Today. So did the Commission invite Slovakia's representative, or it was their initiative to join?
It's a joint discussion. I mean, Commissioner Kubilius is in touch with member states. Of course, all the member states also on the eastern flank. They are, of course, concerned, so don't get me wrong. Of course, all member states are concerned. Again, President von der Leyen was very clear in that. An attack on one member state is an attack on the European Union. So this is a joint will to cooperate, but again, with deliverables.
Also, just on a small point, don't ever apologise for asking questions at midday. Ask as many as you want. We want your questions. Never apologise for doing your job and doing it well. Follow up.
Follow up. And what about Hungary? Does it mean that Hungary don't participate in that meeting? Does it mean that Hungary rejects to build the drone wall at all, to participate in this project?
I will not speak on behalf of Hungary. This is Hungary's decision. Again, Commissioner Kubilius is strongly engaged at political level with all member states.
Thank you, Thomas. I'll take more questions on this, but no more of the kind of speculative questions we have received from our dear colleagues here in the front. Go ahead.
Yes, Giovanni Del Re, Avvenire. Can you just give us a sense of what kind of discussion you might have with NATO? Because, I mean, you're speaking about a drone walls for controlling the traffic of drones from Russia and whatever. I'm sure that NATO is doing exactly the same on the eastern flank. So I can imagine there is a kind of dialogue, discussion with NATO. Maybe you can give us a sense of what's going on in this area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Giovanni. Very good question indeed. And our commitment and being still as committed to our NATO partners doesn't change. And I can confirm that also when it comes to this drone wall, there will definitely be also discussions with our NATO partners, definitely.
Thank you, Thomas. Other questions on this? There at the back, please.
Thank you. Did Hungary ask to be part of this group, or did the Commission ask Hungary to participate in this group?
I'm not aware of such request or exchange.
Thank you, Thomas. Follow up, but if you're going to ask the same thing again...
No, not at all.
Go on.
Do you consider Hungary a frontline member state?
We consider Hungary as part of the European Union. And again, what we said, an attack on one member state is an attack on the EU as a whole.
Thank you for that excellent answer, Thomas. We'll take a few more questions on this, please. Go ahead.
Yes, Thomas, you said the agenda wasn't sorted out yet. Can you give us a sense of timing at all and what kind of media opportunities there might be? We're talking about a press conference, or we wait for a statement where we have a possibility to ask questions.
I mean, I will not speak on behalf of HRVP. I will leave this to Anita. I can tell you that from our side, in any case, you can expect definitely some statements. I don't know in which form yet. This has to be determined. Also, let's see what will be discussed and what deliverables we can share with you. But I'm not aware of any press conference planned at this stage, but we'll be able to get back to you in any case.
Thanks, Thomas. Very clear. We have another question here. It's okay? Okay. Any other questions on the drone wall? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Olof, for the question. Alexandra Boudouri with Kathimerini. Thomas, the Commissioner said today during an event that the drone wall will be completed in 1 year. Based on which data comes this assessment? Thank you so much.
So Commissioner Kubilius was already quite a lot in touch with member states, including the ones who will participate. I mean, he visited them with President von der Leyen when they did the visit to the 7 frontline member states. So, of course, there are already discussions going on. This doesn't date back to yesterday. We didn't come up with this meeting on Friday just like this. So there is an initial interest. Discussions already took place. We know and we will elaborate on that further in this call that we'll have on Friday, but we know the interest that we have from member states. We know some of their capabilities. We need also to be aware of some of their needs. And based on that, we will, of course, develop a drone wall. And Commissioner Kubilius had indeed referred to a 1-year timeline. He was also slightly more optimistic even when it comes to the detection of drones. But all of this still needs to be discussed at technical level also.
Many thanks. You have a follow-up?
Not exactly follow-up for the deadline, but still on the same issue. Do you foresee possibility of an extension of participation of other member states? That is, the drone wall not only to cover the eastern flank, but also to go somewhere else, southern, because the dangers cover, you know, from the north till the south, as you have mentioned yourself. Thank you.
You're fully right. And this is why these are initial discussions that we will have with these initial participants. Now, we will definitely not exclude any member states. I mean, recent events have shown indeed the need to cover all our member states. Again, an attack on one of our member states is an attack on the EU as a whole. So definitely we will never exclude any member states. Commissioner Kubilius is in touch with all of them.
Thank you very much. Other questions on the drone wall? Other questions for Thomas? Don't see any here or online. I just want to get back to the colleague here in the front, the question about the plane incident. I just need to explain that that's breaking news. It happened after the midday started, so we can't comment on it now. You can ask us tomorrow or send an email to us at the SPP and we'll get you an answer as quick as we can. We can't provide an immediate response.
But can I ask another thing? It reminds me incident in Bulgaria during the travel of President von der Leyen plane. And so do you have update on the situation, investigation on that?
Thank you for your question, but that's a question for the Bulgarian authorities, not for us. I don't have anything to hand, so please check that with the Bulgarian authorities. Thank you. Other questions for us today? Razia? I want to be last. You want to be last? Okay. Razia, as always, I will... I see. Okay. Other topics. Jorge?
Yes, one question that was not addressed yesterday was the decision of the European Ombudsman to open an inquiry related to the communication that French President Emmanuel Macron sent to President von der Leyen regarding the Mercosur deal. The request for information from a journalist was denied. When was this text message received? Can you tell us anything else? Was one text message? Were there several text messages? And can you explain why this text message was auto-deleted, given that it involved a crucial free trade deal? Thank you.
Hey, so it's something, it's a discussion that we have had before in the press room.
So first of all, regarding the European Ombudsman, of course we have a very good cooperation with this body, and we'll be cooperating with them on this particular case as well. Regarding the substance of the matter, I think a couple of rules that we've already set out on the podium, I will just recall them. SMSs may have to be registered under certain circumstances. For example, if there is a need to follow up, if there is an administrative or legal effect, if there is a need to follow up. Now, in this case, it was concluded that this was not the case, which is why the SMS was not registered. By the way, we are talking about SMSs that were received in January 2024, to answer your question specifically. Regarding the disappearing messages, I think we've explained that we have internal guidelines as to how instant messaging applications are to be used. There is an internal checklist as well, and of course the President has been complying with these internal guidelines, and she's using the disappearing message feature, which explains also why we could not retrieve any such SMSs upon looking into our records.
Many thanks, Balázs. Follow-up, Jorge.
Yes, thank you, Balázs. 2 questions. The auto-delete feature is activated for all her conversations with other leaders, with the 27 leaders, or just Emmanuel Macron in particular? And second, did the journalist who filed this claim says that the auto-delete feature was activated after the journalist submitted the request for information. Is this true in your view? Thank you.
So I don't think the President discriminates between heads of state and government, so the settings in her application apply to all heads of state and government. Now, the applicable rules go back to 2019 and 2022, and as of the rules, as of the presentation of these rules, internally the President, of course, immediately complied with those. Specifically, when we received the access to document request concerned, I will have to check this. But in any case, the President at all times observed the respective rules.
Many thanks, Balázs. Question here.
Thanks. I mean, there's a rule, as Balázs was saying, but is there a reason behind the Commission decision of using this auto-delete function? Because from the point of view of transparency, doesn't look like the best thing, considering that the Commission is also a top administration. So what's the rationale behind this decision of activating the auto-delete?
I think there are two fundamental reasons behind it. On the one hand, it reduces the risk of leaks and security breaches, which of course an important factor in this case, and also a question of space also on the phone, so an effective use of space in a mobile device.
Yeah, just to complement that, and just so we're really clear on this, we all have to abide by the same rules here at the Commission. I can give you all the legislative details if you want, but essentially, as Balázs has explained, there are specific reasons for when we do and don't have to log SMSs in access to documents requests, for example, and then separately for normal administrative reasons. I mean, it's for all of us. The messages are auto-deleted after a while, just for space reasons. Otherwise, the phone would go on fire. Other questions on this topic for Balázs? Can I have here at the back, please? I'll come back to people who have asked questions previously again.
Irini Kostaki for Cyprus News Agency. Back on that, have you asked for any legal documentation on how this auto-delete feature impacts the access to information and access to documents on behalf of us journalists?
Not surely fully understand the question, but the point we're making here is that decisions have to be made on a case-by-case basis as regards text messages and how they are logged. And separately, we have this regime for automatic deletion of text messages. So I don't know how else we can answer the question unless you have something to add, Balázs. Okay, if I understand the premise of your question. Let us come back to you if we have a more comprehensive answer to offer. Other questions on this topic? Go ahead.
Yes, just a quick one, Balázs. The assessment that was made that the message didn't need to be kept, that was by President von der Leyen herself and or anyone else. Could you clarify?
Well, it was made based on a exchange between relevant actors. I don't have any specific information as to who specifically was formulating an opinion on that, but all the relevant actors were consulted.
So there are people, just to complement, there are specific sections of the Commission, of the House, that do this work and look at it and make the judgment. I hope that's sufficiently clear. I'm not going to take too many more questions on this because I promised Razia the last question and we're approaching an hour. But David, I see your hand raised there. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Could you at least confirm that it's the Chief of Staff of President von der Leyen who is doing this job to choose what to keep or not in terms of text messages? Second question, you mentioned 2019 as the enter into force of these new rules for automatic raising of text messages. In her previous career as Minister of Defense in Germany, President von der Leyen had a problem exactly because of text messages erased by someone for security reason. That was the official position of the Defense Ministry. So you are giving us the same argument, apart from the terabyte that could be occupied by SMS, the fact that you are trying to avoid leaks. So I'm wondering if, in fact, this practice has been introduced by President von der Leyen First Commission because SMS could be embarrassing for the President and the other member of the college. Thank you.
Yeah, first on the head of cabinet, so indeed he was one of the actors that took part in this discussion. So the President assessed the SMS concerned with her head of cabinet, among others, and relevant services within the Commission to whom Olaf just referred. And I mean, the rules on the instant messaging applications go back to the 1st of September 2019. So they have been in place for quite a while, and if I look at it, actually it predates this mandate, so this is not a specific rule that this college came up with.
Thank you, Balázs. I see a few questions still online on this, and I'll take one of them. Oliver.
Hello, Oliver Grimm with the Austrian newspaper Die Presse. How would the Commission comply with law enforcement authorities' requests to provide them with evidence, if such evidence in, for example, criminal proceedings might be the SMSs or the short messages that the President or members of the college send? I'm thinking of the hypothetical case of, for example, the Commissioner for Justice who might become the subject of proceedings pertaining to money laundering. It's a purely hypothetical case, of course.
Thanks for the question, Oliver, but as you know, we don't do hypotheticals at this midday press briefing. We have a question. Any other questions on this before I change topics? No. In that case, I'm quickly going to go to Angela Mauro.
Yes, thanks for the question. My question is on the flotilla that is navigating towards Gaza. As you know, there have been some drone attacks last night, and the Italian government has decided to send one of its navy to escort the flotilla. As some maps are asking the Commission to instruct Frontex to go and intervene and to safely escort the flotilla vessels towards Gaza. My question is if you are exploring this possibility, if you think this can be within the mandate of Frontex, if it's possible? Thanks.
Thank you for the question. We take note of the statement of the Italian defense minister regarding the attack on the flotilla in hours. I want to repeat from this podium that the freedom of the navigation under international law must be upheld. This is most important. So no attacks, no drone strikes, no seizures or any use of force against the flotilla is not acceptable. We respect the humanitarian commitment of the people who are on board of the flotilla, and we understand that everyone has a right to exercise such an activism. This is a freedom of assembly, and it's a core pillar of our democracy. We totally understand that the people on the flotilla, given the situation in Gaza, they want to raise awareness, they want to point out to this topic, and they want to show that the situation in Gaza is unbearable. So we basically share their commitment, but we are also aware and concerned about the risks that they take.
Thank you, Eva. Do you want to compliment anything to that, Marcus? No, that's all clear. Okay. Thanks very much. Angela, you have a follow-up? Angela, are you there? You have a follow-up?
Oh, sorry. No. It's on the role of Frontex. If you think it is technically possible to ask Frontex to do this, it's a technical question.
That's a question you need to direct to Frontex. Thanks very much. We're going to take a few more questions before we wrap up with you, Razieh. This lady here has been waiting very patiently for ages. Oh, is it for Eva? Okay, let me just very quickly check if there are other questions for Eva. Finbar, I see your hand raised. I'm guessing it's not for Eva. Okay, I'll come back to you, Finbar, if there's time. Please go ahead. Thanks, Eva. Okay, quickly, please.
Very quickly. Is the Commission considering any way of protecting or supporting or helping the flotilla in her endeavour? Thank you.
Thank you, but I think, unless Eva, you want to add anything, I think Eva's answer was perfectly clear on where we stand on this issue. I'm now going to say thank you to Eva and come over here. Go ahead.
Hello, thank you very much. Valeria Nickel for the German press agency DPA. I have a question for Anwar, and now I'm unsure if I should have posed it to Anita earlier. It's on foreign affairs. It's regarding the EU website of the General Consulate of France in Jerusalem, because we have noticed this morning that have been made some changes to it, to the postal address of the representation. Today it said Palestine, indicated Palestine as a country at first, and then it was changed to Israel, and now there is no country indicated at all. So I wanted to ask if you could please explain these changes that were made, and also tell us who has initiated the changes. Was it at the request of France?
Many thanks for your question. We're going to have to look into this and come back to you over the course of the afternoon. Thanks very much. Finbar, do you want to ask a quick question there?
Yes, thanks, Olaf. Really quickly, on the Chinese decision today, the announcement to remove its self-designation as a developing country at the WTO, does the EU feel like this is something that will make any difference to the sort of salvation of the multilateral trading system? Thank you.
Thank you, Finbar. I'll answer this with my trade hat on. We welcome China's decision to no longer avail itself of developing country status in future trade agreements, but I would also recall that we firmly believe China should stop availing itself of developing country status under also existing agreements. And we remain committed as the European Union to reforming the World Trade Organization, and we will continue pouring all our efforts into that work. And with that, Razieh, to conclude.
I mean, now at this point, everyone really is going to say, give me a break. I just wanted to clarify something, because you said we don't comment on comments, but I remember on August the 5th, I asked you a question about what a German minister said, and you gave a comment. So I just want to clarify, is it that there's no comments about comments outside of the 27 member states, or there's no comment about comments that we don't feel like we want to give comment to? Just want to know.
It's a great question, Razier, and one of the privileges of standing up here is that I get to decide the rules. So, on that basis, dear colleagues, I wish you an excellent lunch and afternoon. Thanks very much.